right. It's Friday, the first day of the live show at NADA. We're coming in hot. Got a lot to talk about.
The people really want to know who I is and who I be. They stop and stare when they see me.
Yeah.
If it's once, no need to repeat.
Let it lean a little longer today.
Go.
Come
Dude.
on.
Do I get to bounce twice?
You're bouncing twice in 1 week. Welcome
Back-to-back bounces.
The back-to-back bounce. It's Friday. The Friday bounce this week just feels so much more energetic. You might have missed it. Last night, check this out. Before we get too far into the episode this morning, and we don't have a lot of time because we're headed to a clubhouse room, but last night, we send Paul Daly and Michael Cirillo into Allegiant Stadium for a live stream, which was supposed to go 15 minutes, ends up lasting an hour. We meet like literally 10 Eagles fans totally out of the blue, which, Paul is a massive Eagles fan. He's like, what's your team? They're like, the Eagles. It's like, how is this even happening right now? Literally for an hour. Michael Cirillo is standing on chairs. People are getting stickers. We got a sticker counter literally coming up on the live stream.
I love it.
Like, how like the threes counter on ESPN. We're doing one sticker, 13 stickers, 17, another one, right? It was everybody on the East Coast, everyone who's streaming it. We were all sideways. All of us wanted to go to bed. They're in Allegiant Stadium. They're on something. We'll call it. We don't really know what it was. But yeah, just so much energy around automotive.
Man, dude, I've been watching some of these live streams, and in some ways, it's alleviated the FOMO, right?
Yeah,
I'm here at my house. I'm like, oh my God. In other ways, it's made it worse, to be honest.
Like,
because then I'm watching it. I'm like, I want to be right there. Let's go.
It's absolutely nuts, right? Yeah. And last night, you and I got a photo of. We designed, so if you don't know, Ben and I are working on this project called Auto Genius, and we've got a membership community of marketers, autogenius.io. But Ben and I earlier this week designed a shirt that we sent to all of the Auto Genius members out there, and we get a photo with that shirt, and we're like, wait a second. So the people who designed it and ordered it, it's out in Vegas and we don't have the shirt.
Exactly.
So this is the FOMO that is realized by us today. Hey, just a couple of housekeeping notes. If you want to follow along the Automotive State of the Union live streams today, follow at ASOTUNADA.com. You can check out all the live streams there, or at ASOTU across social media platforms. We also have a Twitter account as of this morning, keep that quiet because it's going to get really sideways really quickly. We're going to have probably the most fun over there. We've got a writer that is excited about just having some fun on Twitter, starting conversations across automotive. So, Ben, I know you're pretty pumped about that.
I'm so pumped, man. I think automotive and Twitter were meant for each other. And what's wild to me is that this hasn't happened sooner. Like,
right.
God, man, I've been craving it.
Yeah, when you say that, it's with automotive, the change is so quick.
Yeah.
And the way that we converse is very, I'll call it like avant-garde, right? The way that we just have conversations in automotive is very quippy, is very one line, one hit, back and forth, jabbing at ideals and ideas. And I think that you're right. Someone curating that conversation is going to be really good. So
dude,
hopefully
how does Elon Musk have Otto, right? However many followers he has, and we're not there. We got to be there.
We're going to be there. Good. Also, one more thing. There was a DeLorean at the NADA show.
Cool.
And not just that, but they had Marty McFly, a guy that looked exactly like Marty McFly, standing next to the DeLorean. I don't know how they found him. They might have brought him like blast from the past in. Maybe it's a real-time machine. I'm not really sure. But it was pretty wild last night at NADA. All right, let's get to the news.
Cool.
Track with me. Just a week after, Rivian drops a price hike. Tesla drops a price hike, but they did it the right way. So the Teslas are going up like $1,000 here, $1,200 overseas, right? So It's not crazy, but nobody got up in arms about it like the Rivian price hike.
Yeah.
Right?
I think we all in inflationary times expect price hikes. I mean,
Yep.
it's just going to naturally happen. I think this was within the threshold, but I think that the hidden story there is they didn't need to. They own so much of their supply chain that it puts them in a really competitive situation where they're not under the pressure Rivian is to do these giant price hikes. They're like, no, we own enough of this thing that we can control enough knobs and levers here. We're going to pass a little bit of this over to you, but we don't have to do this whole, off a cliff thing.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting to me is just thinking about the whole of automotive, not just the EV side and the new OEMs.
Yeah.
Thinking about the whole of automotive, the automotive manufacturers have not raised prices on their MSRP, right? But automotive as a whole has actually raised prices even higher than Rivian and Tesla have on their vehicles. However, Rivian and Tesla do not have markups that are third-party markups on their products.
Right.
So they're just taking advantage of market scale, but the visibility of it is not global, similar the way that retail automotive comes.
Right.
So I think, it's a really interesting storyline to me because nobody came out and yelled at AutoNation dealers for, raising prices on their new cars over the last 2 years, but Rivian goes and does it. And everybody's like, what have you done? Tesla goes and does it, and it lands on the main news stories, right? And so I do think that there's an interesting layer of complexity there that these new OEMs are held to, thinking about like if an iPhone price goes up by $100, everybody knows about it. Right. But if the price of milk goes up by 20 cents, you don't know about it until the average price of milk is so high that inflation matters. And that's the way that retail automotive has dealt with this. And nobody started reporting on the price hikes until we started to get quarterly reviews. But the way that price hikes with Tesla and Rivian happen are like other retail brands that are set price manufacturing. So
I've never thought about it, but dude, I think the other thread that you're bringing up, which is interesting, is just manufacturers have to do a price hike in order to create negotiation down. Right. So a price hike is like, everything's going for MSRP now, maybe over. Right. But typically you go, hey, we got to raise that up. And then we know we're going to knock it a little bit down. I think that's actually another piece of this is that, everybody's price tolerance to non-negotiation with either Rivian or Tesla. You're like, cool, I'm locked in at that price. Great. That's the expectation. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, actually it's this price. You're like, And I think the other thing, Rivian was doing that to people that had already locked in.
That was the biggest deal.
Right.
No doubt. Yeah. Tesla's going future orders, which, when you order, you expect to get the price that you expect. Right. And so it's setting expectations, communicating clearly and all that. But speaking of going up,
segue.
This morning, good news in markets. The Dow is up over 300 points on news that talks in Russia and Ukraine could be coming to some level of ceasefire close. Vladimir Putin was saying that certain positive shifts around those talks have happened. And everybody's looking at the University of Michigan Consumer Confidence Survey, which is set to come out today, expected to nudge actually even higher, which is crazy because consumer confidence has been at an all-time high, which means what they're expecting is consumer confidence is going to raise in the midst of turmoil.
Crazy.
How can there's literally, we talk about this all the time on our podcast, Paul and I talk, there's literally no written plan for today or tomorrow, right?
No.
It's just everything is changing at the speed of now.
Yep. Everything's real time. Everything's like, I just don't believe any sort of like, it's like not, it's awesome that the market's thinking about this, but even in that sentence, right?
Yep.
Forward looking, the market feels like everything's going to, we'll see. You know what I mean? Like we'll see by 4 o'clock today how things really go. You know what I mean? Like hour by hour.
Exactly. Well, we didn't get to talk to the last thing. We've got to get going because we're a little bit late today, but the Autonation CEO, you can check it out in the show notes, just kind of noted that the shift in the buying process has to happen for a new buyer, for an EV buyer. Maybe we can talk about that at another time because I know that you've purchased an EV even from a retail franchise dealership. And I think that the buying experience is probably something that has to be adjusted or at least paid attention to for a new set of buyers that are early market adopters.
Totally. And maybe we can bring it up in all things used cars.
I think that's good. So if you're listening live or if you didn't catch this, head over to Clubhouse because we're heading to all things used cars with David Long and a whole host of automotive troublemakers. Thanks, Ben, for coming on, filling in for Paul J. Daly this week. We'll see you around NADA. Let's go.
Let's go.